Hello everyone. This lesson will start Chapter 6 Matters as Particles. First of all, we talk about Section 6.1 Particle Theory. What is matter? Matter, 物質. Matter is around us. Matter are things that are around us. For example, books, shells, our body, gas. All matter has two properties. 特性, it has mass or weight, it takes up space. Some things are not matter, for example, light and sound. Which of the following are matters? Tree, cloud, smoke, and water are matter. What do the things you choose above have in common? That's right, they have mass and take up space. Matter is everything that has mass and take up space. Remember this. Then we go to section B, basic ideas of particle theory. Particle theory, 粒子理論. What is matter made up of? Three scientists have made important discoveries about matter. An ancient scientist, Democritus, think that what would happen if he kept on breaking down a rock. A big rock is break into a small rock, and finally it turns into very tiny pieces of rock that cannot be further divided are called particles. Democritus thinks particles are the building blocks of matters. Democritus' ideas of particles was not accepted in his time, as there was no evidence to support it. Evident 證據. In 1927, Robert Brown observed that pollen glands in warm water move randomly on their own in still water. Brown did not know what caused the pollen glands to move. This discovery turned out to be evidence to support the idea of particles. The motion of pollen glands was later called Brownian motion, 布朗運動. Later, Albert Einstein, 愛因斯坦, thought that water is made up of very small particles, called water particles. The water particles are much smaller than the pollen glands. Water particles are moving randomly in different directions. The water particles hit the pollen glands in different directions from time to time. Therefore, the pollen glands are moving randomly in zigzag paths. This picture showed Einstein's explanation. The small blue spheres are water particles. They move in different directions and hit the large pollen glands that make the pollen glands move randomly. Scientists find a lot of evidence to support the idea of particles. They summarize the idea into particle theory, 粒子理論. Particle theory are summarized into 6 points. Firstly, all particles is made up of particles. Secondly, particles are very small. There are empty space between particles. Particles are moving all the time. Different matter is made up of different particles. Different particles have different size and mass. When we enlarge a short ball into the size of the Earth, the particles of the short ball is about the size of a billiard ball on Earth. Particles are far too small to be seen with naked eyes or a light microscope. They are much smaller than the cells we learn in Unit 4. When we zoom in the leaves 400 times, through a microscope, we can see the cells. When we zoom in the leaves 4,000 times, we can see tiny structure of a cell. When we zoom in further into 400,000 times, we can see the particles inside a cell. Remember, all matter is made up of particles. The main points of ideas of particles are summarized in the particle theory. Section C, we are about to take a look at the evidence for the particle theory. Experiments can provide evidence to support the particle theory. When we add a few drops of perfume into a balloon, can you smell the perfume? The answer is yes. Why? The perfume particles can pass through the balloon wall and go outside. The wall of balloon is made up of particles, and there are space between these particles. The perfume particles are small enough to pass through this space and go outside. In the center of the diagram, the big spheres are the balloon particles. The small sphere on left are perfume particles inside the balloon. They are small enough to pass through the space between balloon particles and go outside the balloon. What main point of particle theory does evidence from this experiment support? It tells us all matter is made up of particles, and particles are very small. There are empty space between particles, and particles are moving all the time. But it cannot tell us different matter is made up of different particles. It also cannot tell us different particles have different size and mass. In the second experiment, we are going to mix up alcohol and water. In this experiment, we have 15 cubic centimeters of water and 50 cubic centimeters of alcohol. Now, mix the water and the alcohol. What is the total volume? The answer is slightly less than 100 cubic centimeters, say 98 or 97 cubic centimeters. Why? Please complete the diagram. When water and alcohol are mixed, the smaller water particles may get into the space between the larger alcohol particles. Therefore, the total volume is less than the sum of the volumes of two liquids before they are mixed. Which main point of particle theory does the evidence from this experiment support? It tells us all matter is made up of particles. There are empty spaces between particles. Different matter is made up of different particles. Different particles have different size and masses. Finally, we summarize the two experiments into a table. Remember, this key point scientist has found evidence from experiments to support the particle theory. Section D. Different types of particles. What are particles made up of? Atoms are the basic types of particles make up matter. Atoms, 原子. For example, the particle of water consists of hydrogen atoms and oxygen atoms. The picture shows us the particles of water. In each particle of water, it has two white spheres, they are hydrogen atoms, and one red sphere, it is oxygen atom. In the world, there are more than 100 kinds of atoms, about 120 kinds of atoms. Some substances are made up of only one kind of atom. That means some are made up of more than one kind. Gold is made up of one kind of atom, gold atoms. Copper is also made up of one kind of atoms, copper atoms. That means there are different kinds of atoms. Iron are made up of iron atoms. Mercury are made up of mercury atoms. A molecule, 分子, consists of two or more atoms joined together. For example, oxygen molecule consists of only one kind of atom. Water molecule consists of two kinds of atoms. An oxygen molecule is made up of two oxygen atoms. That means two atoms are joined together to make a molecule. Water molecules is made up of three atoms, two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atoms. That means water molecules is made up of three atoms. Carbon dioxide molecules is made up of one carbon atom and two oxygen atoms. We take a look at the size and masses of some atoms. Actually, the atoms are very light and very small. We take hydrogen as a reference. We say its length is 1 unit, its mass is 1 unit. Compared with water molecule. Water molecule is 2.6 times larger than the hydrogen atom, and it is 18 times the weight of a hydrogen atom. Oxygen atoms are more heavier and larger than hydrogen. Carbon dioxide molecules are even more bigger and heavier. However, the metals, iron atoms, copper atoms are larger too. Our body is about 70 kilograms. Adult contains around 7 billion atoms, which is 7 with 27 zeros after it. Atoms are very small, so we measure the size of an atom in nanometer. 1 nanometer is equal to 1 millionth of millimeter. Atoms are the basic type of particles make up matter. A molecule consists of two or more atoms joined together. In section E, we talk about chemical formula of a molecule. We use a chemical formula to represent a molecule. The chemical formula shows the types and the numbers of atoms that the molecule consists. For example, oxygen molecules is made up of two oxygen atoms. Its chemical formula is O2. O is the symbol of oxygen, and 2 on the right side represent the number of oxygen atoms in one molecule. The chemical formula of water is H2O. We write down the formula as H2O. H2 means the hydrogen has two atoms in one molecule. Oxygen is one atom in the molecule. The number 1 is omitted always when we write down the chemical formula. A chemical formula shows the types and the number of atoms that a molecule consists of. This is the end of section 6.1.